Well, that's it. 23 and a half years. And it's all over. John Cena is no longer an active member of the WWE roster as a full-time talent. We witnessed last night at Saturday night's main event one of the most shocking moments in WWE history. And that was John Cena, for the first time in over 20 years, tapping out to a submission. The last time, prior to last night, the last time he did tap out to a submission was when he tapped out to Kurt Angle's ankle lock. That was it. After that, he did not tap out. He may have passed out to a submission, but he never tapped out. That was until last night against Gunther via a sleeper. So I figured for today's video, we discuss the top 10 of John Cena's greatest rivals throughout his illustrious career. Now, throughout his entire career, he has had some incredible rivals. Guys like Kurt Angle, guys like The Big Show, guys like Rusev, Kevin Owens, and so many others. But these 10 were so great. These 10 rivalries were so great, they deserve their own spot in the WWE Hall of Fame. But who made the top 10 list? Well, as Trig Williams would always say, let's talk about it. Kicking these off at number 10 is the phenomenal AJ Styles. 2016 became a very hot year for AJ Styles. He debuted finally made his debut in WWE in January of 2016, competing in the Royal Rumble match, which was for the WWE Championship at the time. This would mark the very first time and the only time that the WWE Champion would have to defend the title in the Royal Rumble match. Who is the champion? You guessed it, Roman Reigns, the OTC. AJ Styles lasted well over 30 minutes in the Royal Rumble match before ultimately being eliminated by, I believe, Kevin Owens, if my memory serves correct. Fast forward now to WrestleMania. John Cena makes his return after being sidelined with an injury, and he returns to help The Rock fend off against the Wyatt family. Fast forward now to the summer, and it became the summer of AJ Styles, because AJ had an incredible year he had an incredible 2016 in WWE. One of his first big rivalries was against none other than John Cena. Their first encounter came about on Raw when John Cena made his return to WWE, and AJ attacked John Cena. No. Let's backtrack that. AJ Styles beat up John Cena. That was literally what happened. And one of the first matches that they had they had against each other came about at Battleground in a 6-man tag. It was the OC versus the team of John Cena, Enzo Amore, and Big Cass. Cena's team ended up picking up of the win. But at Money in the Bank, we had the one-on-one match that no one expected. John Cena versus AJ Styles. And AJ Styles picked up the win, all thanks to the other members of the OC. At SummerSlam, we got an incredible matchup, but it wasn't what fans wanted to see. They would go on to have several other matches against each other throughout the entirety of 2016, including triple threat matches for the WWE title, and even also the infamous Instant Classic that we finally needed to see at the Royal Rumble in 2017 in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. John Cena versus AJ Styles for the WWE title. This would mark John Cena's 16th world title before ultimately becoming a 17-time champion earlier this year. This rivalry was so great that the last time that they went one-on-one, it was back at Crown Jewel earlier this year in Perth, Australia, and it truly became an instant classic. Shoutouts to AJ Styles, because he always knew how to give the fans what they wanted when it came to a storyline rivalry. He always knew what to do. AJ Styles definitely deserves a spot on this list. However, the only issue that fans had with this rivalry is the fact that their first one-on-one encounter, the OC got involved, and fans did not want that. Fans didn't want to see AJ Styles rely on the OC to pick up the win over John Cena. And another issue that a lot of people had with this rivalry was the fact that many people expected John Cena to bury AJ Styles. No, it ended up being the other way around, because after that rivalry, John Cena ultimately went part-time, and fans wanted to see him more and more often, but that didn't come to pass. So I think that was one issue that fans had with this rivalry. I'm not so sure what the other issue was, but it was still pretty fun to see AJ Styles beat up John Cena. Coming in at number 9 is WWE Hall of Famer The Undertaker. Their first encounter took place on John Cena's debut, February 25th, 2002. After John Cena had an incredible showing against Kurt Angle, Undertaker was backstage and asked John Cena, "What's your name, kid?" He goes, "John Cena." "Nice job." Literally the words of The Undertaker, "Nice job." This led to both John Cena and The Undertaker teaming up together a couple times on SmackDown before John Cena turned heel, ultimately becoming the Doctor of Thuganomics and disrespecting The Undertaker's legacy by using a gravesite, if you will, as his personal restroom, I will say. I think you guys can take a guess on what happened. That led to John Cena and The Undertaker having a match at Vengeance. Undertaker picks up a win over the Rookie, and from that point on, they went on to have several other matches against each other, including in 2007 when The Undertaker teamed up with then World Heavyweight Champion Batista to take on the then World Tag Team Champions Shawn Michaels and then WWE Champion John Cena. Cena was all at that time. Cena was in his third reign as champion, and the last time that these two were together, it came about in 2010. You heard me right. In 2010, in a triple threat tag team match that featured DX, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, Jericho, The Big Show, and Chris Jericho, and at the time, the WWE Champion John Cena, and at the time, the World Heavyweight Champion The Undertaker. That first night on SmackDown that they met face to face, Undertaker knew that John Cena was going to be the guy, and Undertaker was right. John Cena not only did he become the guy, but he was the franchise player of WWE and sports entertainment. Obviously, after last night, I think it's pretty safe to say that sports entertainment is now dead. I think we can all agree on that. Coming in at number 8, the OTC Roman Reigns. I get that. I get that there are a lot of people that might not disagree with this list or how the list is made out. But this is my personal opinion and what fans are believing of what the list should be. Again, coming in at number 8, the OTC Roman Reigns. John Cena and Roman Reigns, man. I mean, what can I say? This whole thing started when Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose, known as The Shield, debuted in WWE back in 2012 at Survivor Series. John Cena and Ryback were in a triple threat match against CM Punk for the WWE title. At the time, Paul Heyman hired The Shield to be CM Punk's mercenaries to protect his reign as WWE champion. From that point forward, Roman Reigns and John Cena went on to have a series of matches that was pretty much split down the it was pretty much damn near split down the center. Excuse me. John Cena won a few matches. Roman Reigns won a few matches. However, that was mostly because of 6-man tag team contests. However, one-on-one matches, it was mostly Roman Reigns that would defeat John Cena. And the last time that these two men went at it one-on-one, it was at SummerSlam in 2021 when John Cena challenged Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. This would mark the very first time ever that John Cena would challenge for the Universal title ever in his illustrious career. Even though John Cena didn't win, that moment in time was what sparked Cena to become a 17-time champion this year alone. The one takeaway that I will have from this rivalry, excuse me, sorry guys, yeah, the one thing that I will take away from this rivalry is that John Cena didn't win a lot of matches. That's like the only takeaway. Other than that, this was solid. I mean, this was a clear case of John Cena realizing that Roman Reigns was going to be the guy in WWE. I mean, come on. 1,316 days. Enough said. But that brings us to the number 7 spot, and it is the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. Man, excuse me. Damn. Think about this, right? One of the 4, literally 2 of the 4 pillars of OVW going at it and this rivalry goes back 20 years, right? This goes all the way back to their first encounter, which was Cena versus Brock Lesnar at Backlash in 2003 for the WWE title. They went on to have so many other matches throughout the entirety of the 2010s. Literally, the entirety of the 2010s, John Cena and Brock Lesnar had multiple matches, including excuse me, including their match at Extreme Rules in 2012 and the infamous night at SummerSlam, which featured the debut of Suplex City. More than a dozen German suplexes to John Cena, and Brock Lesnar becomes the WWE champion. Weirdly enough, we all thought that was going to be the end. Because here's the thing, right? Every single match that these two men have been a part of together, Brock Lesnar, 9 times out of 10, has always won. Whether it was at Backlash, whether it was at SummerSlam, it did not matter. He always picked up a win. John Cena only had one victory over Brock Lesnar, which was at Extreme Rules in 2012. Their last encounter came back in September earlier this year, excuse me, at WrestlePalooza, which ultimately became SummerSlam 2014 all over again. A complete blowout of Brock Lesnar beating the hell out of John Cena. I will say that Brock Lesnar will go down in history as one of John Cena's toughest rivals to date. And there will never be another one like Brock Lesnar. Like maybe Obafemi, who knows? Who knows? But we'll have to wait and see on that one. But that brings us to the number 6 spot, and it is none other than the final boss, The Rock. This was actually one of the weirdest rivalries we had ever seen, but it was ultimately it ultimately became one of John Cena's best. And the reason for it is because they were a part of two of the biggest WrestleMania main events of all time. WrestleMania 28 and WrestleMania 29. The difference is that John Cena defeated The Rock at WrestleMania 29 to become WWE champion, which ultimately became one of the 3 matches that saved WrestleMania 29. What were the other 2 matches? Well, CM Punk versus The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar versus Triple H. Those 3 matches was what saved WrestleMania 29, because it ended up becoming one of the worst WrestleManias ever. So the fact that The Rock and John Cena were part of two of the biggest WrestleManias of all time, absolutely incredible. We even also saw them team up for the very first time ever against Miz and R-Truth, known as Awesome Truth, at Survivor Series in 2011. Never before, never again. And we never did. It never happened. They never teamed up in competition. They might have teamed up in outside of a match, but that was about it. But the last time that these two met face to face came about earlier this year at Elimination Chamber, when John Cena turned heel in the most shocking way possible. Excuse me. The big takeaway from this rivalry was that WrestleMania 28 was the night that The Rock buried John Cena. Plain and simple. But that brings us to the number 5 spot, and this one is going to be a little interesting to talk about. Batista. Another member of the 4 pillars of OVW. Actually, there is another person that is a pillar of OVW, and he may or may not be on this list. But Batista and John Cena, man, the rivalry between these two in not in OVW but in WWE, it goes all the way back to 2005 at the Royal Rumble when both men got eliminated from the match. WWE insisted to literally restart that portion of the match, and Batista wins the Royal Rumble. John Cena earns his opportunity to challenge for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 21, where as opposed to Batista, he decided to challenge Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship on that same night, which that match ultimately became the main event of WrestleMania 21. Since then, they never had any one-on-one matches together, but they did team up they did team up one time. The first, actually, they only teamed up like what, twice, 3 times, 4 times maybe. The first time that they teamed up was in 2006. Yes, it was in 2006 at a pay-per-view called Armageddon. I believe that was it. Let's see. I'm gonna look on my Fire Stick here. Batista. John Cena. Sorry guys, I apologize if I'm taking a while. Yes, I was correct. So the first time that they teamed up together was at a pay-per-view called Armageddon, which was a SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view, taking on Fit Finlay and two-time WWE Hall of Famer Booker T. At the time, he was King Booker because he was king of the ring. Both the WWE champion and the World Heavyweight champion won that match, and they went on to team up several other times later on, including on an episode of SmackDown where they both teamed up with Bobby Lashley to take on King Booker, Fit Finlay, and William Regal. Another time that they teamed up was when they teamed up with Hulk Hogan, God rest his soul, in a dark match on Monday Night Raw. Another time was when they became World Tag Team Champions back in 2008. Their first one-on-one counter, minus the Royal Rumble match, was at SummerSlam in 2008, where Batista defeated John Cena, breaking Cena's neck. Fast forward to Elimination Chamber 2010. I think you guys already know. They had such a crazy rivalry in 2010, fighting over the WWE title, and Batista became champion after Cena survived the Elimination Chamber. And John Cena ended up regaining the title at WrestleMania, retained the title in the return match at Extreme Rules and at Over the Limit, which ultimately became the end of Batista's full-time career in WWE before returning in 2014, which he was only in WWE for only a few months, for obvious reasons. This became such a good rivalry for both men because they're both they're both they're both OVW alumni. They're both former world champions, and the rivalry in 2010 was the best way to showcase how much these two learned from being in OVW. So this was really good, a really good rivalry. Coming in at number 4 is Triple H. Man, enough said. I mean, just enough said. This became such a good rivalry for Triple H because this was another clear case of the old lion going up against the young lion trying to make his way to the top of the mountain. And Triple H had a bit of a rough time trying to defeat John Cena, but it all culminated. But it sort not culminated. Wrong choice of wording, Nash. Um, One of their first encounters was at WrestleMania 22 in Chicago. John Cena wins. They went on to have several other one-on-one matches against each other. They competed in triple threat matches, fatal four-way matches, but the last time that these two met one-on-one came about in 2018 at a premium live event known as the Greatest Royal Rumble. John Cena defeats Triple H. If I remember right, I believe that was the case. I actually still have that my little book here. Let's see. If I remember right, I believe it was that. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Funny enough, it took John Cena 3 attitude adjustments to defeat Triple H, which ultimately became the last time that these two met one-on-one. One thing that made this rivalry so good was the fact that the promos that Triple H was cutting, it was his way of showing John Cena how to truly cut a promo and get the fans involved. Get the fans to say, "Oh my god, this shit's fucking awesome. We need more of this shit." And sure shit, they made it look fucking incredible. But if you want to talk about incredible rivalries, these next 3 became the rivalries for John Cena. And if you hadn't figured it out at number 3, it is Randy Orton. Man, these two guys have had at least a dozen or more matches against one another. They've both won matches against each other. They've been in triple threat matches. They've been inside Hell in a Cell. They've been inside Steel Cage. They've been inside the Elimination Chamber, Money in the Bank. They've been through everything. And the one thing that I will say about this rivalry is that this rivalry was what made the 2010s. This was what made the late 2000s and the early to mid 2010s what some of the best years ever, like 100%. Like, again, the late 2000s, the early 2010s, and the mid 2010s was like the year was like, excuse me, it was what made John Cena versus Randy Orton the rivalry. I mean, this goes all the way back to 2007, where their first encounter for the WWE title was at SummerSlam, and from that point on, they had so many other matches over the years, including Iron Man matches, Hell in a Cell matches, TLCs, triple threats, fatal four ways, Elimination Chambers, Money in the Bank. They've competed in every single match against each other imaginable. And their last encounter earlier this year at Backlash in St. Louis, Randy Orton's hometown, was one of John Cena's best matches yet, because that match was it was the last time, right? It was going to be the last time that these two men would face off one-on-one, and they both made the best of it, even in spite of the bullshit that R-Truth tried to pull. You guys already know. I will say, one of the things that made this rivalry so good was the punt to the skull of John Cena's father. That right there was what established Randy Orton as one of the greatest heels in WWE history. And that was the thing about John Cena. He always knew how to go up against the biggest heels imaginable and make them a star. That was John Cena, and he did that against guys like The Big Show. He did that against guys like Rusev. He's done that against guys like AJ Styles, who we saw on this list. That was John Cena, but Randy Orton also knew how to put the baby faces over, and he did exactly. They both did that to one another, and it got to the point where they ultimately had mutual respect for one another. They teamed up together a few times in their careers, and this became one of the greatest rivalries of John Cena's career. But that brings us to the number 2 spot, which was CM Punk. I don't think I need to say anything else about it except what a rivalry. What a rivalry. From 2011 to Night of Champions earlier this year, it was considered to be one of the all-time greatest rivalries of all time. Not only fighting over the WWE title, but also fighting over respect. That was what CM Punk was fighting for. He was fighting for respect, and he got that respect over time. And CM Punk went on to have such a legendary run as WWE champion at that time, 434 days. And I will say that no matter how people look at CM Punk, whether he was a babyface, whether he was a heel, it did not matter. CM Punk always made sure to make John Cena look good, and he did. He did that. John Cena made CM Punk look good that night at Money in the Bank in 2011, and I know because I watched it. I literally watched it on pay-per-view back then. And Night of Champions, I feel like Night of Champions earlier this year was a bad match for CM Punk. I feel like just because of the fact that he was already dealing with the Vision, and a part of me kept saying that John Cena should have been a part of War Games to combat against Brock Lesnar and the rest of the Vision. But to be fair, he was already the Intercontinental Champion at the time, so I don't know if it was the right move for John Cena to drop the IC title to Dom, or if he should have competed inside War Games and retained the title against Gunther. I don't know. I don't know. I want your guys' opinion. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on that. But that brings us to the number 1 spot, and if you hadn't figured it out, it is another Hall of Famer, the Rated R superstar, Edge. Man, let's just be real, right? 2006 became a stellar year for John Cena. Second reign as WWE Champion. Third reign as WWE Champion. Come on, Edge and John Cena, man. The battles that those two had, incredible. one of the most infamous matches that they had came about at Unforgiven in 2006, TLC in Toronto, Canada. Edge's hometown, man, that match was an instant classic. This was a clear. This was one of the best ways to showcase how good John Cena could be under under the pressure of only having one last opportunity at a world championship. And John Cena made the best of it that night in Toronto, as he went on to deliver an attitude adjustment to Edge from literally from the top of the ladder to through two tables, literally capturing the WWE title for the third time in his career. This was such a good rivalry that what made it so special is that what made that rivalry so special is the same reason that all these other rivalries had. John Cena had excellent chemistry with every single one of these guys that not only did he get them over, but they got him over as well as being the top guy in WWE. And fans kept saying throughout this entire farewell tour of Cena's, everybody kept saying, oh, we want Edge, we need Edge to come back. Trust me, I wanted that so badly, just as much as you guys. But obviously, someone else on the other side of the wrestling spectrum was like, nope, fuck you, you're staying right here. So yeah, there's that. But I will say that all these rivalries will go down in history as some of the greatest rivalries in the career of John Cena, and there will never be another one like him. And John Cena said that he wants to live long enough for someone to become an 18-time world champion. Honestly, it's all eyes on Charlotte Flair and Randy Orton, because apparently Randy Orton still has a few years left in him. Charlotte Flair, she also has a few years left in her. So who knows? Who knows? Only time will tell. But I will say that it's like I said, there will never be another one like John Cena. And there's an old saying. It goes, don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Excuse me. Words of wisdom from whoever said that quote. Shout out to that person, whoever it is. There will never be another one like John Cena. So if you guys can do me a huge favor, share this video on social media, tag John Cena, and let him see this video. Because John Cena, if you are watching this, shout outs to you, man. Thank you for for 2 decades of hustle, loyalty, respect. There will never be another one like you. And even if there is another one like you, is the old adage, often imitated, never duplicated. Thank you so much, John Cena, for 2+ decades. Cannot wait to see you etch your name in the Hall of Fame. Potentially next year, because I know that there have been a lot of rumors about that, but we'll have to wait and see. I know you said that there will not be another match for John Cena, but my man, let's not forget, this is WWE. Never say never. The possibilities are definitely out there, but we will have to wait and see. Again, thank you, John Cena. A massive salute to you, and congratulations on your retirement, and congratulations on becoming a 17-time champion, becoming a Grand Slam champion as well. props to you. We love you, man. And on that note, that will do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more top 10 videos in the future, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.